So you make X amount.
Mhm.
Your debt right now without a house payment is pushing 40% of your gross income before taxes.
Right.
And you got written for $550, but you want to buy a house that the house payment's $1,200. Where's this money going to come from?
Mhm.
I mean, you're going to 60% debt to income. So that means for every dollar you make, 60 cents is going to go to your house, to your expenses. What are you going to live off of? You got kids. How are you going to take care of them?
Well, and that's my next question. So when someone is coming to get a loan and to getting approved, do you go through all of who lives in the household, how many children they have? Is that a
What
factor too?
require? Okay, so it does and doesn't. So as far as getting approved for a loan, no, it doesn't. But on the other side of the coin that we look for, if if you've got, it doesn't matter whether you got one, two, three, four, five. The thing is, are you married, divorced, single with a kid, and then do you pay child support or do you receive child support? Now, if you receive it, I don't have to put it on the report. On the credit or on the credit bureau, not credit bureau. I'm sorry, on the application. I don't have to calculate it in your ratios. Um, if
Someone's wanting a loan right now.
Yeah, somebody renting for a loan right now. If you're paying child support, then that's a debt to you, and I have to calculate that. So yes, we'd have to ask if you have children under 18 that are involved with that belong to you, and then the next question is, do you pay child support or do you receive it? And if you don't want me to count it in your ratios, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
I don't have to. But if you pay the child support, then yes, I have to because it's another bill. It's like your credit cards and your card. Those are things that you have to pay every month. Now, utilities on your house, it's already calculated as an expense in the ratios. We don't go check and see what those are. But if you're paying rent, then we use payment shock. So if you're paying $550 a month rent and you're buying a house, the payment's going to be 12, 13, 14, 1500. That's payment shock. That's a big shock to your debt every week.
It's called payment shock.
Payment shock.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're shocking what you're used to spending X amount, and now you just probably increased it to a third, and that's a lot in one month.
Mhm.
You know, so we look at that to kind of see where you're at. Now, it's probably not a good idea when you've been divorced 6 months and you call me and we get a situation like this. Well, let's put my boyfriend or my girlfriend on the line. Well, you've only known them 3, 4, 5 months. Do you really want to sign a mortgage with them for 30 years? I mean, you don't really know them. You're still in the honeymoon stage of the relationship, so to speak. You know, uh, those are the
See,
ones we kind of. I mean, we can't say no, um, but it gives us, as a loan officer, an uneasy feeling because the chances of that relationship surviving is pretty thin to start with because it's so new.
mhm. Yeah,
But I mean, it is life, and I can't say no. I got to treat everybody the same.
sure.
So, yeah, if they want to do it, I mean, I'll kind of caution them once in a while. You know, you want to be together 3 or 4 months. Are you really sure you want to be on this line with this person? You know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but
Well, and that makes sense. I mean, because it is new, and
it just,
and it might last forever, but
you don't know.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't know. I
yeah.
mean, I can't. And the hard part I have about what, long story short, or short story long, when my wife and I got together, and this has been all right. Tell a story here. I'm 20 years ago. So we were both divorced,
Hmm.
and we were together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and bought a house together. I mean, we
Oh,
did it. We did it.
so
Well, we kind of did and
you
did.
made somebody sweat when
Yeah.
you
Well,
got that loan.
we did and we did. So at the time, she made more than I did. In fact, most of our marriage, she's always made more than I have. This is a backward relationship. But
No, it's
anyway,
all good.
um, the house we bought, that we sat down and bought, because we were already living together, was she could make the payment by herself and not be stressed. And we talked about it. So it's like, okay. And of course, we're old enough. We've been through enough relationships. What if this relationship doesn't work? Well, we bought it, and she liked the house, so we bought it in her name. I just helped pay for everything. And and when we were talking about it, she said, "Look, if that relationship doesn't last between us, I can afford the house. I like it, and I'll just keep it. Let's just put it in my name."
Mm-hmm.
And then that way, we had an out.
Mm-hmm.
If we were both on there wouldn't have been an out other than refinance.
Right.
So we were adult enough to look at it and say, okay, if this relationship doesn't work, then she's okay with the house and keeping it because she could afford it. She didn't have any debt. She made good money. The house payment was reasonable, and I was okay with saying, okay, yeah, I don't have that much in it. I'd have to pay rent anyway.
Yeah.
So we looked at it that way, but I don't see that. And a good friend of mine, long time ago, he told me, and he was my boss back for a long time. But he said, "You really don't know someone until you've been around them about a year," and that's so true.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I'm thinking because like I mean think of the different hats you have to use. I mean you're also a relationship, right? I mean there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that that you have to deal with here in this, right?
Yeah,
And
you have to wear
can
all
be-
these hats.
yeah,
And it's relationship driven. That's just like our leads come in as relationship driven. But at the same time, you got to be careful with that fine line and not step over it.
right. Yeah. Well, but on your end, I mean they all lived happily ever after. It worked,
Right, right.
you know.
And we didn't get married for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
It was from June, the 1st of June, to a year in October. So what was that, 14, 16 months before we got married? We were almost together for a year, and we looked at each other and said, "Hey, it seems like this is going to work. Let's go ahead and get married."
Let's do this.
when you're in your late 40s, you've lived as much as we had. Through relationships, you kind of like, all right, let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's do this. But I mean, so the positive takeaway is that it can work. It can happen. But it's always nice to sometimes just to make sure that everybody stays safe. I mean, I'm saying in that and what you're signing, I think that's a good rule of thumb. Always, know what you're signing, know what you're, agreeing to. And there's nothing wrong with like kind of like treading lightly, if something wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah. Stop and take a deep breath. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it today. You don't have to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I forget where I heard this, man, forever. But so when you're just shopping and you're just walking around, you're not looking for anything in particular. You're just like when I walk with my wife, she's very focused. She's got her grocery list. She knows what she wants, and down the aisle she goes, or wherever we go to Menards or we go to Lowe's. I need this, and you just go after it. We get it and go out. We don't dilly-dally around through the store. And you do that, and then you're going down to the store, and something off to the left catches your eye, and you stop and look, and it's like, I've always thought I wanted one of those, or I like the idea of that. And you stop and look at it. Really, what I was taught a long time ago, okay, you like it, that's spontaneous. Take a good look at it, turn around, walk on, and if you remember in 3 days, you probably really want it. If you don't remember what that is in 3 days, that was just an instant, one side, I want it.
Mm-hmm. Impulse buying.
So I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm just saying give it 3 days.
Yeah.
Go home and give it 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you remember it, you probably really want it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just going to buy it and waste your money. Yeah. And I've done that. I've done it both of them.
Of course, then the product's all gone by the time you come back the third day.
Well, that may be.
I should have got that.
I should have got
that. Dennis, I'm sorry. It's good ways to look at things. Like you said, wait 3 days, see if you still want it. And if you do, then and there's always something out there.
Yeah.
Always, good deals and bargains and always something.
So we sold our house.
Uh-huh.
And we've got our land, we're gonna build a house. So the idea is get a camper trailer for now and live in while we build a house. I mean, a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, so over the holiday weekend, we went and looked at campers.
Uh-huh.
Took Saturday, run over, looked at some campers, seen some online that we thought we might like. So we're walking through a bunch of them and looking at them and this and that. And it was a used camper dealer, not a dedicated uh, brand. So I give us a lot of variety, probably 25 trailers there. So you got
Oh,
all
wow.
kinds of different companies, varieties, decors, different ages. And we had a budget that we wanted, of course. I only spend X amount because I need the rest of it for my house and this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so we found this one that was pretty nice. Had a little age on it, but it was nice. And so when we talked originally, well, we need a toy hauler or we need something with bunk beds in it because we gotta have storage room. We need room to store some stuff. We can't put everything in the storage unit.
Yeah.
Our clothes and stuff that you're gonna have to go through because it gets kind of wore out pretty quick. You only got 5 shirts, 5 pairs of pants, 5 pairs of socks, or 7 like you're going camping and you're doing everything all the time. So I was like, okay, we need some place we can put totes and put storage food and that kind of stuff. So we had talked about that. And we found this one great big 41 footer. And she looked at it. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this back room. Said it's a bunk bed and the slide outs on both sides of the bunk bed room. I mean, it's humongous. She says, there's no way I'd ever use that. And it's like, well, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we probably really do, but you can't say no. Just like, give her time. So we looked around and there was one that was right in our price range and right in our age, but it had, so the slide out, you had dinette and you had like a double love seat type couch. And then the back had a couple of chairs in it. She looked at it and said, I can get by with this. So we're going to take, the one needed to go away and had a chair that needed to move over there. And we had another chair that would fit and we'd watch TV, look right at it and all. She said, there's enough room there I can store everything. So we talked about it and I said, well, let's think about it. Let's take a couple of days. Let's talk about this. There's 2 others we kind of like. And so we left, went and got something to eat. This was, around noon and all. And so I called the dealer back, the salesman. And I said, hey, and I asked him some questions about it and hung up. And then a few minutes later, had a couple more, called him back and hung up. And then about 10 minutes later, we were finishing up our lunch and I get a phone call from him. It just sold.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we looked at each other and said, well, it wasn't to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be. That's not the one God had for us.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be. So, long story short, so she gets the itching Monday morning to start packing. We had picked up some boxes on Friday, run down to Menards and picked up some boxes and sand and all. So she gets up, she gets thinking about it, and she starts packing clothes and all. So by 1 o'clock, she looks at me and she says, that camper we really, really wanted? I said, yeah. She said, look underneath the staircase. I've just got started and there's more boxes underneath that staircase than there was in the room of that camper. She said, that would have never been big enough.
Oh.
She says, you're right. We need the bigger ones. Yeah. So again, that's one of those.
Yeah.
Walk away, wait 3 days, see if you really want it.
Absolutely.
See if it works.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it worked out to the advantage because it sold, and then she's packing and realized that room wasn't big enough.
Mm-hmm. That's a good story. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I do that same thing myself every day, and as recent as this 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Same scenario.
Yeah. So. That's good advice or good story, and good just to realize that anything that comes fast goes fast, or just sometimes if it doesn't work out, it just wasn't supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't push it. Don't force it. That's kind of been our philosophy. Don't push it. Don't force it. Pray about it.
So did you buy anything?
No.
Okay.
No, we haven't got anything bought.
Okay.
We're waiting on, we got to do something because, I mean, the house is sold and we're waiting on them and we've already got 2 weeks by. And I mean, this morning, we were going to go do something Saturday. She says, I can't go do that. I said, they could call tomorrow and next week we could go closing. And then we got to be out of here real quick. And I can't, I'm not packed enough yet. And she's been packing for 2 weeks.
It takes a little while, but if she's doing it right, she's doing it organized. So then when you get to where you're at, she'll be thankful that she knows
Yeah.
what's in here. And yeah, it's packing. When you throw it all in and just go, then you never know. You never, you'll spend that whole time trying to find stuff.
That's what we
I've
done when we
seen-
bought this place.
Well, I've seen people, have like a garage full of just boxes, and they're like, "Well, I don't know where anything's at," So
No, she's
She's-
OCD. She's boxing them up.
Labeling it.
She's labeling
There you
them, writing them
go.
on them.
Yes.
Each room separate.
very
Yeah.
organized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very organized.
Very good.
Going in storage unit, very organized.
Yeah.
We put shelves in the storage unit. Boxes
Oh,
are on shelves.
There you
so-
go. You're in good shape. So let's go back, Dennis. Before time's going by so fast, but let's talk about. And those are good stories. Thank you for sharing that. And that's realistic stories. Those are
Yeah.
those are. Because that's where a lot of people get into. Do I sell my house first, or do I buy first, or Do
Yeah.
I find that? Or those are
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people ask us those questions. So, as radical as things have got in the last 2 years, there's some new products out now. We've got one to where the idea is so you can go ahead and buy your house and not panic about selling your house.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of products we can use now to do that. We can do it to where we can set up and guarantee your house is sold, but the realtor can still list it, and then they can sell it after the closing, but it's not counted against you. I mean, there's a product there. It costs a little bit of money, but it can be done. There's 2 or 3 different products that way that we have now that we didn't have 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But after, last fall, last winter, there was so much of this rush buying and cash buying. How can you buy it with cash? Well, I've got a product that you can buy it. It's like a cash offer, guarantee it to close within as soon as title and appraisal gets back, we close it. It's cash whether you got yours sold or not. So there's some crazy products out there that cost a little bit of money, but they can be done. So
Right.
it's not, because that is a juggle. I mean, when you own a house and you're trying to upgrade, it's a juggle. So
Sure.
do you price? When you buy a house and you're just telling that realtor, well, if I'm gonna buy that, I got to sell mine, and it's contingent on that. That contingency throws you out of a lot of purchases, because there'll be 5 purchases that's not contingent on the house selling. But you got to remember to not ask too much for it. Be reasonable. Okay, I'm going to sell my house. I think I can get this, but realtor is saying this is what I can really get out of it. Then maybe you need, don't get too greedy, because you may get stuck and you have a house bought and you can't get yours sold, and then you lose the house you bought and you went through all that
Yeah.
personal time.
Sure.
But yeah, there's some products out there now. There's some new products. You have to have pretty decent credit. You have to have a good job, and you got to have a little bit of money. But there's some products. There's some new products we can do, and you just need to come in and talk with us and sit down out there. But there's avenues for that now. Best thing you can do is fix up every little thing in your house that you're going to sell. Don't give a reason for it to have a hiccup.
Mhm.
If you got a little peeling paint, get a little paint scraper and a little brush. I mean, you could be out there at 6 o'clock in the morning when it's cool, and you could be touching up those spots instead of that coming back in appraisal. Well, you got peeling paint. And it goes back to lead poisoning idea. So now you got to scrape it, paint it.
Right.
Or they go, no, I don't want to sell it that product. I want to convince them because I don't want to fix anything. But you're hurting yourself.
Mhm.
You're really hurting yourself.
Right.
I done all that stuff to my house. I sold my house in 24 hours. First person, awesome, loved it. Made an offer, bought it, full price.
Wow.
24 hours, I had a contract in my hand. But there was nothing on that house that needed to be done. Everything had been done, clear to cleaning the windows.
Oh wow.
It looked nice, but it's got to
Yeah.
look nice.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to a car lot and look at the junkers first.
Mhm.
You're going to look at the nice shiny ones.
Yeah.
And the same thing with houses. So don't do yourself a disjustice and say, I'm not going to fix that little stuff. They can worry about it.
Uh-huh.
We'll fix it.
Right.
Clean the windows, clean the carpet.
Yeah, and then you get it all clean, and you're like, I don't want to sell it.
Well, that was a thought a time or two too.
It never looked this good. I'm gonna just, yeah, that's funny.
But it's just like taking a dirty car to the car lot.
Yeah.
When you're going to trade cars.
Yeah.
and you want the top dollar out of it.
Make it pretty.
I mean, don't make it look like the way you handle it.
Right.
Make it look like, you want it to perceive like you take excellent care. Well, you should take excellent care
Right.
because you're buying it. It doesn't matter if it's a car or your house or what.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheaper to keep everything fixed up than it is to go back and fix as much up.
True.
You know?
Very true. Very true. So, well, I've got another question too.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? So, was there anything new that you said there were some changes this week in some of the? I guess was that the percentages, or are we still going? Or what was some
All
of the new
right.
changes?
So the feds now are talking about bumping the overnight money up towards the end of the month of July, another 75 points or bits or whatever you want to call it, 3/4 of a point. Yeah, rates are going to go up. I mean, some of my higher risk products are already pushing 7%. By August, the average may be 7%. Definitely going to be high sixes. I mean, we got stuff now that 5.75, 5.875, and I've seen some sevens for lower scores and lower down payments. The less down payment, the lower the score, the higher the interest rate, the higher the risk. That's another reason. Get your credit fixed, get all this stuff done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see stuff go up. And that's going to take more people out of the market buying houses. People still want to buy. People still need to buy. There's not enough houses.
Yeah.
It boils down to what they can qualify for. January you could have bought a $300,000 house. Today you may only qualify for $200,000. We get a few people calling in, wanting to, hey, I found this house. You approved me for $300,000 and blah 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 blah. Well, things have kind of changed. We got to look at it. We had one. She complained, said, "Well, I thought my rate was locked in." Well, it's locked into what? There's no house, there's no contract to lock a rate to. You can't just.
You don't make these rates up. Dennis Baxter is not making these rates up. Autumn Scott Hall
is not making the rates up.
This is not making these rates up.
No, this is the market. It doesn't matter.
Celebrity Home Loans is not controlling as much power as everyone thinks you have. You do not have that much power.
You don't have that much power.
No.
No. If I did, I'd be selling everything at 2%, and I had so much work I couldn't handle.
Cha-ching. Yeah.
No, the federal government sets the rates. They set the market. They set the market. Yeah. And then the stock market sets the rates with the risk and what's going on in the economy, in the world.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Feds are determined they're going to slow this inflation up. To slow the inflation up, you got to raise the cost of it. Mm-hmm. You got to raise the cost of money.
Right.
I think they're behind the ball. They should have done this months ago.
Yeah.
This so-called soft landing, they passed it. They missed it. So now they're slamming it. It's like they're stomping on the brakes right now. So June, they went up 3/4 of a point. July, they're going to go up another 3/4 of a point. I still had some good 3% money in January 1st. I can't even think of 4s. I can't even think of low 5s unless you want to pay 3-4%. So, you want to come in and say, I want a 5%, $200,000 loan. Well, it'll probably cost you $10,000 to buy the rate down for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the market.
Right.
You got to pay that investor to take that loan at that point because he's going to lose. He's not going to make money on it at 5%. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay him some of his profit to do it. So it's kind of it's kind of a way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going to loan you money at 5%, he's expected. If he's going to loan you $100,000, he expects to probably make 5.5%. Well, if you want 5% interest, you're going to have to pay that half point difference. And it may be $10,000, right, so to speak. So he still makes his profit. It's business. It's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have something like, when we lock rates, it's against a piece of property. We are guaranteeing some investor that he needs to have X amount of dollars to buy this loan, and we'll deliver it to him on X amount of time, and it's locked in at a rate. It doesn't matter what the rates do then. So if I lock it in at 6% and rates go to 10%, he's still got to deliver that loan. I can still deliver that loan at 5% for a given date. After that, it's open.
Right.
You missed the contract. You missed the date. And, when we approved you back in February, March, at 4%, those rates disappeared in April. I can't help it. There's nothing I can do about it.
Right. And that's probably sad to tell the person that. I mean, you don't mean
It
to say,
is.
hey, I'm sorry
Yeah.
that, but you kind of,
Yeah.
waited a little bit longer, and now
Yeah, that
this
three
is
hundred
what we're at
thousand dollar
today.
loan
Yeah.
is now you can only qualify for 200,
Mhm.
250.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people all the time, don't get too picky about your houses. You know, does the house work for you? Do the rooms work for you?
Mhm.
Does the layout? Does the location work? I don't care that you don't like pink walls or lime green walls, or heck, the house I bought before, it was built in the '60s. It had big flowered wallpaper on it. It had a 14-inch band of great big flowers around the living room on the wall. You know, that didn't
Oh,
matter
your
to me.
flower garden.
Oh, flower garden. You can put paint on it.
Yeah.
You know, the house worked, the price worked, the
Mhm.
location worked.
Yeah.
The inside didn't matter to us. It could have been any color. It could have been rainbow color.
Yeah.
Because you can paint all that.
Right.
And that's really what we did.
Mhm.
House got empty. We went in there with a spray gun and I sprayed every wall in that house, every ceiling in that house. We covered up the floor coverings and we started painting.
Mhm.
But don't get hooked up on the little stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I want a fireplace, but it doesn't have a fireplace. Well, you can put an electric or a gas fireplace.
Yeah. Marshall
Yeah.
Sales and Marshall's Fireplace Shop can
There you
hook
go.
you up with
I
a
mean-
beautiful fireplace. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do cosmetics. Don't worry about the cosmetics.
Yeah. That's true. You got to look at the bone.
You got to look at the
structures.
bones, and does it work?
Yeah.
And you could have looked at those bones and looked past that stuff 2 years ago and had a 2.5% interest rate.
Mhm.
Well, now you're pushing 7.
Yeah.
So you can't buy as much house, but you could have bought a lot of house then, and spent a lot of money doing a lot of little.
I think that on everyone, okay, on that person, whoever, we're just making up a person here, but it probably is true in some scenarios. But you go back, and if you remember when it was 2 and 3, we were also kind of nervous about what things were going to happen. Remember?
Yeah.
So I think for those that did step out and took advantage of that, yay for you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But also for those a little hesitant, you kind of understand that
But-
there was a little bit of uncertainty.
But there's still uncertainty.
I know.
It never
Yeah, I
changes.
know,
It
I
never
know,
goes
I know.
away.
But I think, just that unknown was just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
for those that were a little bit on the fence, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because
So now rates have went up, cost of everything's went up,
Mhm.
and the next thing I'm hearing, well, we're going to a recession, everything's going to fall, it's going to. No, it's not. Your wages have already went up.
Mhm.
Wages across the country have went up.
Yeah.
The cost of making that product is fixed cost gone up. So what cost them $100 2 years ago to make in labor now costs them $150 to make in labor. That's not going to go down. They're not going to build it for a loss.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the cost of stuff has went up. It may soften, but it's already up.
Mhm.
It's not going to change.
Right.
Another raise for you is not going to change the ratio, because that raise for everybody in that plant is going to cause that product to go back up again.
Mhm.
So, there's going to be stuff on the shelves. It's not going to be a matter of stuff's going to disappear. The shelves
Yeah.
are going to get full again.
Yeah.
But they're all going to be everything's going to be more expensive.
Right. Yeah. And you
So-
said that months ago.
Yeah.
You knew
yeah,
this
it's,
was, this is going to be.
So when they say, well, nervous and not sure what's going to happen. Well, I can tell you this is what's going to happen. Cost is not going to go down. It's going to stay consistent. It's going to cost more to live. And you want to make those ratios better? I'll tell you, go back to school. Go learn a trade. Go learn something.
Mhm.
Get a better job. Get a better paying job for what you're doing.
Mhm.
Getting a raise for the job you're doing is not the answer. Improving your person,
Mhm.
and making yourself more valuable.
Yeah.
More valuable.
Valuable.
And that's
No.
what'll make the change.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and that's good anyway, no matter what.
No matter
and
what.
bettering yourself always
No matter what,
better. Always
Yeah.
good. Yeah. For sure. Well, I think this has been very educational. I think it's good information to know, and I appreciate, Dennis, you explaining this to us, because we don't know all of that stuff. You know what I
No.
mean? And it gets a little confusing and gets a little bit, um,
Well, it does. It does. And the one thing nice about this show, I can walk in that back door and not have a clue what we're going to talk about, or
Mhm.
maybe an idea.
Yeah.
And I can say, hey, Becky, let's talk about this or that. I don't have to be prescript or nothing. I can come up with something
yeah.
on everything, because we've just seen so much. and we deal with so much every week.
Sure. Sure.
I can just take last week's issues that we had at work, and I come up with a subject just from that.
Right.
But we're here to help people. We're here to teach people. We're saying you can do. So, all right, I pulled your credit. You got some issues, and I'm telling you about them, and you're working on them. And I say, hey, come on in. I'll print this out. I'll show you how to do this. I'll explain it to you in detail. Oh, no, I'll just go to Credit Karma, and I'll do it there. Well, I just struck that one off because they don't want help. They say they've been working on it. No,
Yeah.
they've been working on it.
Yeah.
And they don't want to. Well, I can't help that person.
Right.
But if you want to come in and I'll help you, I'll show you how to fix that stuff, what needs to be done, and you go out and do it, you will come back and get a loan.
Love that. And I just wanted, I cannot say cannot say enough how valuable that is
It is.
to have that, because and I think many people have walked in to get loans, and if they've been rejected or told no, it's just on your way. But to actually sit down and work with someone, I would just want to say I love that part of Celebrity Home Loans, that you take that time and you care about those people, everyone that
Yeah.
walks through your door, and to say, hey, it's not today, but if you do these things and follow these and do what we say, it's almost like the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Do as the doctor says.
Yeah.
You're going to have good results.
Because
It's
we're
gonna come
teaching you good life skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
It works for everything you do in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
can't help those that don't want to help themselves. I can't do it for them.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And it's all free. That's what gets me.
That's a huge
It's all
blessing.
free.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you.
Yeah.
I don't charge you for this.
No, that's above and beyond.
So.
Yeah. So if anyone, and I think listening to you, and when we, of course, have you on each week, I think people hopefully are getting a relationship and realizing that you're easy to talk to, communication, and also have that feeling that they can come and bond. And I think too, your experience, your expertise, makes everyone feel at ease. You know what I mean?
And sometimes what we have to tell you kind of hurts the feelings a little bit.
Mhm.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But, it's because we are so honest about it.
Right.
And we really want to help you. So don't get offended because your feelings get hurt.
Well, I think most people would appreciate it, or should,
They should.
because-
They do in
yeah,
the long run.
yeah.
Or they're not going to do it.
Mhm, mhm.
It's one of the two. It's always one of the two. But if I'm not honest with you, and I'm not real tactful. Autumn, she's a lot more tactful than I am. But either way, either person or even Camissa, you're going to get the truth.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it straight. It's not going to be sugar coated. Oh, you'll be all right. No, you're not going to be all right. This is what you got to do. This is the black and white. I'm not lying to you.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. All right. Well, let's give phone number, address, and how do they get a hold of Celebrity Home Loans?
All right. So Celebrity Home Loans, we're right here on the north side of the square in Salem. We got the yellow awning. There's a red one on the left. If you're looking at our office, there's a green awning on the right, red one on the left. Or I got that backwards. I think I got that backwards. But anyway, we're in the middle. We're in the middle between the three colored awnings. 18 Public Square, Suite A. Our normal hours are 9 to 5. If you want to meet after hours or before hours, give us a call, set up a schedule. We'll gladly work with you. The office number is 812-883-0670. Monday through Friday, we're right there. Go online. You can text us. My phone number is 812-620-4025. Text me. I will answer your question. If you want to be anonymous and you have some answers, text me. I will answer your question.
Yeah.
And I won't, I may ask you who you are. I'd rather not say right. That's fine.
Yeah.
I will answer your questions for you.
Love that.
So come and see us.
Okay. All right. Let's thank our sponsors.
All right.